Okay, I think we are live. Amazing. We are live. It is Thursday. It is our migraine strategy call day. I'm just double checking Facebook to make sure we are live on there as well and in the right place, which we are. Perfect. We are good to go. I'm Debbie Waidl. I'm a certified migraine health coach specialist here to help you find your migraine freedom without having to use pills, quick fixes, risky surgeries, Botox, all of those other things that none of us want to use because we know that they're just covering up pain. They're not getting to the root cause. So that's what this group is about, is helping you actually get to the root cause of your migraines so that you can get back to living your life. And we have a very special guest with us today. Jessica is here to share her story. So hello, Jessica. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
I was just chatting with Jessica before we jumped on, and Jessica graduated in August. So it is so, first of all, thank you after so many months for finding time in your schedule to come back, especially this week, right? The week between Christmas and New Year's. So we greatly appreciate your time for coming on to share your story with us today.
I'm glad it worked out. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So just a little bit about Jessica before we get started. And do me a favor, if you're watching on Facebook right now, if you're live, give me a quick hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Valentina's over there to help you out. We've got Nicole here, Tammy's here, and a few other people are watching. So thanks everybody for taking some time out of your day. So Jessica's been married for 27 years. It'll be 28 in January. She has two twin boys that just turned 19. Can you imagine? I know Jessica can, but I can't imagine two twin boys at 19 right now. She works about 30 hours a week, loves to kayak, loves to read. I actually see a lot of your kayaking photos on Facebook, so it's fun to watch you do that. But Jessica had migraines when she was young, and then they went away, but she was dealing with these frequent headaches, which we obviously know are little low-level migraines, and she's dealt with those most of her life. And then the migraines came back about 10 years ago and steadily got worse. And when she joined the Freedom from Migraine method last January, she was having migraines daily, waking up with nausea every single morning, with head pain, had no energy. Medications were only kind of taking that edge off. So fortunately, fast forward to today, things are a little different. So why don't we kick it off this way, Jessica? Why don't you give us, I know I just talked a little bit, but give us a little bit more of an overview of what it was like for you with your migraines, and then we'll go into how things are different now.
Well, I mean, you kind of gave the details. I had daily migraines, daily had pain. When I sat down with Debbie for the first time last January, can't believe it was almost a year ago, I was actually pretty desperate. I was coming off of 2 solid weeks of migraine pain that was level 7 or more every single day. And so basically pretty much destroyed my holiday, destroyed any time off I took, that sort of thing. And I was waking up, like you said, every morning with nausea. And that had been going on for a long time, nausea and head pain. But some days it was like the nausea was like overpowered the head pain. It was so terrible. And so it took me hours in the morning just to get to functioning. Yeah, I was still getting to work and doing things like that. And so basically my life really was managing to get to work where, my boss.
Oops, I think you might have frozen, Jessica. I'm not sure if you're frozen for everyone else. There you go. You're back.
Okay,
I think
great.
You're back now.
So basically then I get to work and people would say, how's your head today? And I would never be able to answer that it was good. And then when I would come home, I couldn't really function at home because I would be so worn out. I had no energy and my head would really still hurt. So
yeah,
I just was not, doing any of those things, even just to maintain the house. Wasn't really doing any cooking. My husband was doing all of that. I didn't feel like grocery shopping, just any of those everyday things, not to mention going out on a date with my husband or hanging out with my kids or any of those things. So it was, and the fact of the matter is, I really didn't realize how bad it was until it got better. And that is the honest to goodness truth. It was, I joined Freedom from Migraine method in January, probably around about May or June. I realized all of a sudden how much my migraines had been impacting my life and specifically my marriage, quite honestly. And I was just like, I didn't even know. I was
Yeah.
just in pain all the time. And I was just functioning. I was just surviving basically. And
Well, I
so,
think especially as women, right? I think we normalize those things because we know we
right,
have to get through the day. You know, and
absolutely.
you have twin boys
Yeah.
that you're trying to raise, you're trying to work, you have a husband, you're trying to keep a household. So the only way it's kind of like this protectiveness you put on you to normalize it
Yes.
because you
Yes,
have to keep
absolutely.
going,
This is
right?
this is what I have to do. And so
Yep.
we're just going to do it. And but then all those little things to maintain relationships and things like that, those are the things that end up suffering.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's only so much you have to give in a day. And
Yes.
I'm sure you were the same. The first went to your kids.
Right.
And then sadly, it was like to keep the household together. And then who gets last?
Right. Yeah.
It's always
Your
the
husband.
spouse. Well, actually,
It
you
is.
get last, I should
Right.
say.
I
You
do.
get last, but the
That's true.
spouse gets second to last because
Yeah.
you have these kids, especially when they're young. It's not like you can just say, well, go cook your dinner, go clean your room, go.
Right.
You can say it, but they're not going to do it, right?
Right.
We got Nicole watching from Pensacola. Nicole, is it warm today? It is actually, we're in a weird weather situation here. It's like warming back up. We just had this massive
Yes.
freeze, you know, where we were all worried. We didn't have power for, you know, a few hours here. There some people without it for a day right around Christmas and freezing cold. And now it's going to be 45, 50 degrees.
Yes, that's what it's like in Michigan too. That's where I am.
It is just insane. Well, thanks everyone for popping on. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Oh, you're grateful. Thank you. And Jackie's here. I love it that everyone's popping on. All right. So you had these migraines, you had this nausea, you basically, you know, were just not feeling well all over. You joined the Freedom from Migraine method. How do things look different now as to how you're
Well,
feeling before?
so now I still, honestly, I still do have head pain. It's just way different and I know how to manage it. And part of the reason I still have head pain is because I'm not, necessarily doing all the things that my body needs. And I know that. And so, but basically before I joined, I had no days that were no pain in a month, none. And I was constantly
Yep.
tracking. In fact, I just realized that I just finally stopped tracking probably maybe 2 months ago. I haven't looked at my tracker app, but I finally, because I continued after I left FFMM just to kind of see how I went. But anyway,
Yep.
so I have some days where I don't notice pain at all. And then I have a good number of days where I have had pressure. And then I have times or days where I'm probably between a 1 and a 3. Honestly, I'm rarely over a level 3 anymore. If I'm even at that, probably a 1 or a 2. And then some days I'll have some pain that spikes up to like a 4 or a 5. I haven't had those 7s or 8s in forever. But what kind of cracks me up now, and I've even said this to one of my girlfriends, is a 4 or 5 like feels so much worse now because I never have that anymore. Like, what is going on? And then I kind of think back and think, oh, I've skipped some water today, or I got absolutely no sleep last night, or any of those things that really affect my threshold. And to be honest, I know Debbie talks a lot about threshold. I've built up a good threshold, but I can use it up quickly if I don't have a good week. So my mom was in the hospital in early December. I did fine while she was in the hospital. All my norms were off. My sleep was off. I was sleeping at the hospital every other night. My food was off because I'm eating at the hospital, and trust me, not good. Ugh.
No.
But even my exercise, my movement was off, which is highly unusual for me. But I was good that week. It was the next week, 2 days the next week. So I knew, wow, I had enough of a threshold built up that I got through that super stressful week. And then those couple days when I finally could really breathe and whatever, I knew the things to do. And I just kind of got right back on track, and I was good. So
absolutely,
that's kind of what it looks like. I do occasionally still take meds if I have to. Not very often though, and nothing super strong. So, and
I
no
love
dailies.
it.
So
yeah. And this is what we talk about quite often. You know, you hear, for those of you who've been in this group for a while, you hear me use the word migraine freedom quite often. And I think it's important that we define that every once in a while to remind everyone that when we say migraine freedom, it doesn't necessarily mean 0 migraines for each person. Now, for me, it does. I have none. I don't have migraines. And I do believe that 95% of the women in this group can get there, can get to 0. It's when we get one, it's usually because of a choice or because of a life circumstance that we have no control over. You don't have control over your mom going to the hospital, and it just happened. Now, could there have been some different planning in there? Maybe, if somebody's willing to bring you food, if somebody else is willing to sit with your mom a little while you go for exercise. But let's face it, we don't always do that, right? We're like, she needs me, I'm here, that's what I'm doing. So when we talk about migraine freedom, what we do in the Freedom from Migraine method is give you all the tools that you need to heal your body, to get yourself where you're feeling better. And then you make the choice on a daily basis of how you're going to live your life, how you're going to work on raising that threshold. And knowing, as Jessica does, she knew, okay, these are the things I did, and this is why that this head pressure is there. But do you feel well, we can pretty much say a year, right? From last January to now, if you were to say, let's just, at a scale of 1 to 10, 10 feeling crappy and 1 feeling, really good, what was your scale kind of then, and where would you say you are now?
Well, I'd say then I was definitely, what'd you say, 10 is lousy? I was definitely a 10 back then. And now, I'm probably maybe a 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3, depending on the day. And do I think like I could be a 1? I probably could. If I was super disciplined about doing some of those things, like going to bed when I really need to. Sleep is a big thing for me. Stress is a big thing for me. So some of those things, I definitely think I could be a 1. It's just my stage of life makes it a little difficult for me. Yep. I just don't want to make different choices right now. I want to wait up when my kids are out still, things like that. And so, but I know that.
But I think that choice is good for you because you're functioning and you're enjoying life.
Right. And you know what I love is that I actually have the choice. Whereas a year ago, I had no choices. Honestly, I felt like the pain was in control, and I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I, have some control here because I have the tools of which to do that. So, yeah.
Did everybody hear that? I think that was like one of the most important things you've said so far. You have the control.
Yeah.
So often we feel that migraines are in control of our life. Ooh, I don't want to make plans. I'm going to have to cancel. I'm petrified about Christmas coming up. Am I going to make it through? I don't want to schedule this vacation. I'm not going to make it on the plane. That is migraine in control. But when you know that you can actually make those choices and decisions, for anybody who watched the training that I did the week before Christmas, we talked about things that you could do to kind of prepare, and obviously 1 week, as Jessica knows, is not going to make you migraine free.
No.
But Jessica did the preparing last January to have a totally different Christmas this year.
Yes.
And that's what I think the point is that we're trying to get across is migraine freedom does not happen overnight. It continues, the journey continues. But even though Jessica's journey is continuing, she went from a 10 of feeling crappy down to a 2 in 12 months. That's pretty amazing. For how many years? How many years would you say, if we had to total it up? I can't remember what you said. You started when you were young. So maybe 30, 40 years of migraines on and off.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's compare 30, 40 years to 1 year.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And overall, I feel so much better. Like I feel stronger. I'm exercising regularly. I'm eating 3 meals a day, which I, rarely did before. I'm sleeping better. I'm getting in bed, I'm doing deep breathing, and I'm falling asleep. I honestly, like, I'm not waking up 4 times a day, 4 times a night to go to the bathroom. Little things like my life is totally different from a year ago, just even health-wise. My skin looks better. I smile more, my hair is shinier, all the things, just because I am overall more healthy and I'm paying way more attention to me and what my body needs and what I need to function, which was a huge thing I learned in the Freedom from Migraine method. Is I needed to pay attention to what my body was telling me and what my emotions were telling me, and how I was. And I never really did that before.
Yeah, you were definitely one of our, for lack of a better term, our model students. You know, I mean, you came to every call, you were at every coaching call, you were at every mindset call. I mean, if you missed a call, you were telling me why. And I was like, Jessica, it's okay.
Yes.
Or, and what I loved even the most is those calls were during times you were at work.
They were.
You rearranged your schedule,
I did.
you figured it out, you know, because it's what, 16, the Freedom from Migraine method is typically 16 weeks if you do the complete version. The elite version we have now is longer. It's 24 weeks. Yes, 24
Well, I did
weeks.
Destination Zero too. So I stayed in, I forget how many weeks that was. So
that's
I basically
12,
was in, I was basically in from January, doing something from January until early August, I think. So.
And you committed, and that's what made the difference is you would show up and say, okay, I tried this. This is how I felt. What can we do now? You know, so we just took baby steps with you along the way, especially with that nausea in the morning. I mean, that took time.
My goodness, it took time, but it was so worth it. Every little tweak we made, and you were amazing because you know, I'd get back on a call and I'd be like, this didn't work and everything, and oh my goodness, I mean, she's gonna kick me out, you know, she's gonna be terrible. And no, you just kind of looked at what was going on. You're like, okay, this is what we're gonna try next, and you really worked with me, and that made so much difference because you can hand someone some things to do, but the accountability, the camaraderie in the group itself, the calls, and you just walking us through what to do, answering our questions, like it just made all the difference. I would not be where I was today without you and Aaron with the mindset calls and the group, which was just so supportive. Every time I just, you know, was crying in the candy aisle because I, you know, knew I shouldn't eat that. Now I barely ever want anything with sugar. But back then I was like, you know, crying in the grocery store. I don't know what to buy, you know, whatever. And it was just, the group was great, just so encouraging. So
I'm so glad. And obviously that's one of our we say we have like 3 pieces of the program. And one of the biggest, you know, one of the 3 pieces is the fact that we want to be talking to you on a weekly basis. We want to be seeing your face or seeing you in the group through a post or whatever it is, because that's how you get success. You do not get success by walking in your doctor's office and him giving you the same prescription he gives 1,000 other women, or you going on Dr. Google and reading the article that 1 million other women read and trying to implement it. Ladies, you've all done it, right? Tell anybody watching right now, tell me how many, you know, have you Googled and tried to solve your migraines through Googling, or have you gone into a different group and just tried to be a fly on the wall and read what somebody else is doing and try to copy that? I mean, let's face it, we've all tried it. We've all done it. You know, I did it for 10 years and it didn't work out too well. Didn't work out too well at all. But, I love everybody jumping on here. Lisa's here too, and Lynn is here. So many ladies popping on to see you, Jessica. So anyone, let me know if you have questions for Jessica right now, because we're going to try to sum this up in just a quick moment here. So if you have some questions, pop them in. Yeah, Nicole, she has her PhD in Google. Yeah, if I had to add up the hours, I think I'd be adding up months, not hours of the time that I spent researching. But I really appreciate you all being on here today, because again, I know it's a holiday week still and everybody's busy, but all right, Jessica. So if you could say one thing to these 3,000 women that are in the group right now, 3,000 plus, actually almost 4,000, you know, women who, when I get on a call with them, they're like, I can't spend that money on myself. There's no way, you know, there's no way I can spend that kind of money because it's just not worth it. What would you say to that person?
I would say it is definitely worth it. I would say I was a fly on the wall in this group, like a lot of those you women are, you 3,000 women. You're just sitting in this group and you're trying to get the answers, which is great, but to invest in yourself, to invest in the program, to really make the commitment to do that, there's no replacement. I would never be where I am today if I had not done that, and really just taken it seriously. And for some of you, I know one of my fears was it's going to be drastic changes. And you know what? It's not. It's little tweaks in a bunch of different areas. And you get to make the choices. I can make the choice to go to bed when I know I need to, or I can make the choice not to. I can make the choice to eat, 10 cookies in a sitting, which by the way, I do not do anymore. Because I don't crave sugar anymore, thankfully, or I can make the choice, not to. These are not drastic changes that are going to like turn you upside down and make you crazy. And initially when we change anything, it's tough, but the support of Debbie and the group that you're in when you join and all of those ladies in the calls, it makes it doable. And really for me, it was the only way it really would have been doable. And I think that that's probably the case for, 95% of you out there also. Yeah. And so do what I did and set up a call and talk to Debbie in January. And she did not ask me to say that, but I'm telling you, that is what I did last year. I was desperate and I was skeptical. I was so skeptical. Yeah. And I came home and I talked to my husband and he's like, what, I didn't even, do the call with him, which is not normally you do the call with you. I was so skeptical and thought, he's going to think I'm crazy. And so, but it was, he's like, well, what choice do we have to keep living like this or to try something that actually might really work? And it is a huge blessing to us that, we took that chance as a family and invested the money and worked on it. And we're a better family because of it, I believe. And I'm certainly a better woman. And I'm just excited about, the upcoming years that I'm living without all of that pain, and you can be too. So.
Yeah. And I love how you say it's a family thing, because it really is.
For sure.
It really is. Even for those women that that are in this group right now that are single, you still have parents, you still have friends, so it's still almost like a community, maybe is like a better
Absolutely.
word. It impacts your whole life.
Your whole life. My friends were so supportive. My family, I mean, to this day, at least one of my boys will say, Mom, what are you, what are you doing? Are you feeling okay? That sort of thing. Like he knows,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've even had people tell me that their pets know the difference because now they know they can get walked more and played with more. Cause your pets get used to it too, right? They see you in pain and they just kind of lay on the floor and stare at you like, I'm not getting a walk, am I? It's not happening today, but now they can go out and run around with the dogs, go out in the winter in the sunshine and not have it impact. So it really impacts every area of your life. So as Jessica said, I am not saying we can help each and every one of you. We have to double check your health history. We have to make sure that you're mentally ready, because I think you have to be mentally ready to do this,
sure.
Which is why we go through an application and assessment process. But I'll be honest with you, when you get on the call with me, I will tell you yes or no, and if I don't feel I can help you now, I will either find someone to help you or tell you what you need to do to be ready for our help. I won't leave you high and dry. I promise. Anyone that gets on a call, I will make sure that I put you in the right direction to be able to be helped, because good Jessica, a 10 down to a 2, we'll take it, and still healing day to day. I love it.
And that call was not high pressure. Debbie was very honest with me. She went through everything. I just remember it. She took her time with me. Like, don't be afraid to even just get on the call. Just set up an appointment.
Yeah, it's like my favorite time of the day. I love jumping on calls and meeting women from all across the world. It's so amazing to be able to sit here in Rochester, New York, and talk to people in Australia and China and Mexico and Canada and the UK and all these places. It's wonderful. Well, Jessica, I can't thank you enough for being here today, really, especially this holiday week. So thank you for sharing your story. Yeah. Thank you for sharing hope. And it's just been amazing. I don't see any questions in here, but if anybody has any, we'll make sure that we make sure you tag myself or Jessica so that we can answer your questions in the group. And I hope you have a wonderful New Year's.
Thanks, you too.
Any fun plans?
Well, I still have one more Christmas celebration. My mom's we celebrate with my mom and my sisters on New Year's Day. And so, and we have had people sick, et cetera, for the last actually 2 years. And so this will be the first year we've gathered in a few years. And so everybody's looking forward to it. And like your family, cousins are all close in age. Yeah. So it should be a fun time. So we've got that on New Year's Day, and we're having a quiet evening with friends on New Year's Eve. So a few more plans.
I love
and I'm
it.
off this week, so I'm just trying to really relax. Like
I was just
one
gonna
thing a
say,
day. Yes, one thing
Yep.
a day. I'm using my to-do list. I'm like, oh no, I can't. I don't want to schedule myself more than one thing. I'm doing lots of reading. Yeah, I'm taking care of myself this week. So
I love it. And I can bet last January, that was not what your to-do list would have looked like for.
you know what my to-do list look like. Like, you know,
I know. No, I think we need to like get your hands off the screen.
yes,
The
you're
size
right.
of your to-do list.
You're right. But I am using the one that I adapted when I was in the program, and it is still working fantastic for me. So
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. Merry Christmas late. Happy New Year. Jessica, thanks for being here. And
Yeah,
we'll see
no problem.
everybody in the group. Take care,
All right.
everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.